Hi Internet, welcome to the Gregtron YouTube channel, and welcome to Greg's 14 Adventures, a weekly vlog where I discuss my journey through Final Fantasy XIV as a first-time player. I beat A Realm Reborn back in 2022, and I'm finally finishing up the rest of the game. These vlogs are documenting my journey. If you like these videos and want to support their continued production, the best way to do that is to like the video, share it on a relevant social media site like Reddit, and leave a comment. Thanks, pal. So last week's vlog was the longest vlog in this series, where it ended up being about 40 minutes long. It was about an hour long for a recording session, taking breaks to, cough and grab water and cutting out like awkward pauses and repetition, me stumbling over my words. But needless to say, doing 40-minute vlogs every week for Final Fantasy XIV is just not really feasible for me. So this week I decided to do a little bit less than 14 and just soak up the atmosphere, because this was my first week playing Heavensward. So instead of pushing my heart to get through a bunch of story like I did last week, I just really wanted to soak in the atmosphere of Heavensward and get a vibe for what the expansion was going to be like. So jumping into the first Heavensward quest, it did throw me for a loop hearing Alphinaud with a new voice actor and just trying to get used to that. It felt a bit jarring, just as mentioned in last week's vlog. I've been so used to Alphinaud's voice being that same voice actor for years and years and years. And I know that this is the voice actor we get for the rest of 14, but it was still just kind of jarring, and the guy does a good job, but it still was like, oh man, I'm not used to this yet. But then seeing Alphinaud, Totaro, and Leito walking through the snow, I was really feeling the hype for this expansion because I've been waiting to play Heavensward for so many years, and just felt so cool, and seeing that title come across the screen, man, that felt good. I was wondering whether or not 14 would have the title of the expansions across the screen, which is something that 11 did, and I was like, oh man, I really hope they do that, and I was worried that they weren't going to do that, but man, seeing that title, seeing Heavensward across the screen, felt good, felt nice. So Totaro and Alphinaud were talking about how they needed different clothing to get them through the snow, and seeing them wear like their heavy winter outfits, trudging through the snow in that opening Heavensward cutscene, and then seeing Leito in his same modified Ironworks gear, made me think, I really got to get a new outfit. I need something different to make it feel like I've started a new expansion. I need a transition from A Realm Reborn into Heavensward. Because being A Realm Reborn as a red mage, Leito had sort of the standard red mage outfit, and that was what I considered his canonical outfit for A Realm Reborn. And then playing through the Realm Reborn patch quest, for most of it, Leito was wearing the Ironworks gear. Dyed gray, so it looked a little bit more like his outfit in Final Fantasy XI, where he had the item level gear from Adulan. And so I decided, you know what, I want to get a new outfit that's going to be my main outfit for Heavensward, so it would feel like a new expansion has truly begun. So rather than jumping straight into the MSQ and just getting the story rolling, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take some time to explore the city. I wanted to explore Ishgard. One of the things I like to do when I got to a new city in 11 or a new city in 14 is I like to explore the entire city and get all my teleports in that city. So go to all the teleport crystals and talk to the NPCs and just soak in the vibe of the city. And I ended up getting Leito a new outfit for this expansion, where just a cool black outfit, and it goes well with this top hat I got from another quest. And actually, it's funny, I'm actually staring at a top hat I have across my room right now. I spent many, many years in a glam rock band, and I was sort of famous for wearing a top hat, and so a lot of people compared my look to the Mad Hatter, which was intentional. It was kind of trying to be sort of a glam rock Mad Hatter thing, a little bit inspired by the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, but also inspired by like Alice Cooper and bands like Slade, T-Rex, bright, colorful glam rock outfits with a big old top hat. And so Leito has always been a little bit more posh, at least in 11. And so him wearing a top hat really works well for his character, the poshness of Leito. And exploring Ishgard, it definitely gave off a very Dickensian kind of vibe, especially with, again, 14 focusing on class struggle and the difference between the haves and the have-nots, the upper class and those struggling in poverty. The architecture gives off this sort of Industrial Revolution London vibe to it, mixed with medieval fantasy. And so it definitely has a very cool atmosphere, and Leito's outfit with that top hat is really helping with the Dickensian vibes of this expansion, where it's almost like a Christmas Carol meets Final Fantasy, which I am totally down with. And for years and years, I've wanted to make a Christmas Carol RPG, but I've just not necessarily had the time to commit to such a project. But it is nice. I'm getting very Christmassy vibes from this expansion, or a Christmas Carol vibes, and, Tale of Two Cities, etc., etc. So after I explored the city, we ended up making our way to the manor of House Fortam, where as soon as we get there, they suggest, hey, why don't we take some time to explore the city? Which is pretty hilarious that I spent all that time exploring the city, taking it in, and then the next quest is, please explore the city. But still, it was nice to explore it a little bit further and get even more context for the city, get that nice lore. I got really excited when I saw Clan Centurio in the bar, and it reminded me of Mont Blanc in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and in Final Fantasy XII, where even though people think, oh man, Greg hates Final Fantasy XII, no, I still like Final Fantasy XII a lot. And so I'm really excited about the Clan Centurio thing and hoping that I can participate in clan activities soon, because, again, that was a part of 12 and Tactics Advance that I liked quite a bit, and I would love if there was a Mont Blanc reference coming up, because that'd be super cool, because I'm a big fan of that character. So as we're getting our lay of the land, Tataru says that she'll end up hanging out at the bar to see if she can find information, which I know in world, that is the explanation that she is giving, that Tataru wants to hang out at the bar because she thinks that if she ingratiates herself with the locals, she'll help us find more information. And it is kind of like a seedier, dangerous dive bar that people don't recommend that she hangs out in, but the bartender's like, nah, it's okay, I'll look after her. And Tataru's like, nah, I'm fine, I'm a tough cookie. But my headcanon is that Tataru wants to hang out the bar just because she wants to drink because of all the stress lately. And so she's like, no, I'm totally here working, you guys. I'm working the bar. But really, Tataru's just like, I just need a drink after all the shit we've been through. So that is my headcanon for that, is that Tataru is potentially developing mild alcoholism, becoming a bit of a lush. But then after a tour of the city, we go back to House Fortam, and we end up helping both of Orshafant's brothers, Amanelaine and Artruel. And so I ended up helping Amanelaine first because I didn't know that you were supposed to help both of them, so I just picked the one that I saw the quest marker above. And we ended up going to a place called the Sea of Clouds. And like when I first got to Ishgard, I decided to just explore the map before I really got into the quest and just talking to the NPCs, exploring the area. And the maps of this expansion have really surprised me so far. They're a lot like 11, in which they're very big and kind of hard to navigate. And there's lots of ways where you think you'll be able to get to a different part of the map by looking at it, but then you get there and there's like different rock formations or cliffs that prevent you from getting where you want to go. And there's all these very specific pathways where in A Realm Reborn, the maps were very open and inviting, and there were a lot of different ways to get places, versus in Heavensward, the maps are much more specific, and there's a lot more barriers preventing you from going places that you might want to go. And so I was really surprised. I'm like, oh man, I haven't had this much annoyance with map exploration since playing 11. This is great. What a great callback. But yeah, so the Sea of Clouds is basically a outpost where Ishgardian soldiers are on the lookout for dragons that might be attacking the city. And so there are a bunch of floating islands, which is really cool. It's nice to see floating islands in Final Fantasy. Always a good time seeing floating islands. And basically, Amanelaine, he is more of the two brothers of House Fortam other than Orshafan. He seems to be more like the goofball guy who's into partying. Like, he got really excited when he smelled beer on your breath. Or smelled beer on you after going to the tavern. He's like, oh man, you guys like beer? You guys want to party? So he's like the party brother. And he is trying to impress this female knight named Lynette. And after a couple of filler quests in the Sea of Clouds, we end up going on a quest to find some water crystals. But in the process, Amanelaine, who's, oh man, I'm naming him, is probably getting wrong. He gets captured by beastmen, and we go on a mission to rescue him from the beastmen. And it's a pretty fun mission, infiltrating their stronghold and then protecting him from the baddies. Like, it was a fun time. And during the mission, my boy Orshafant comes in for the clutch, helps us ward off beastmen, and helps rescue his brother. Solid dude. And at the end of the mission, Sid, Biggs, and Wedge come in on an airship and help us escape the clutches of the beastmen. They come in clutch to escape us from clutches. And we get to see a new primal, Bismarck, staple of the Final Fantasy series, and Bismarck looks super cool. It was a fun little introduction to what I'm going to get into in Heavensward with just the way the maps are designed and mechanically satisfying solo instances. It was definitely a good first impression. And so then I went and helped the other brother, Arturol, who is a bit more of the prideful brother who's like, oh man, I didn't really want help from the War of Light. I can take care of this myself. And with him, we end up going to Falcon's Nest, which feels more like other parts of Kurthus we've been to, just covered in snow and ice. And when trying to explore the Sea of Clouds, I really couldn't get much of anywhere. There was a lot of things that just blocked me off from fully exploring the map. So I wondered how linear this expansion was in terms of exploration, because in A Realm Reborn, you could kind of just explore most of the maps just as soon as you start the game if you so chose, but Heavensward blocks you off from going to a lot of places at the beginning. Like when you first get to Ishgard, you can't leave the city and go to the Sea of Clouds or Falcon's Nest until you do a couple missions. Like it does seem much more linear and restrictive than A Realm Reborn in that respect. But when I got to Falcon's Nest, I saw other parts of the map and like, ooh, can I get there? Can I explore? And it turns out I could. And so I ended up going into Dravania and ended up getting to Tailfeather, which seems to be a village where they focus on capturing wild chocobos. And it is implied that they do use the chocobos for meat to eat, which as a vegetarian, I'm not a fan of. Please don't eat the chocobos. And then I ended up going to Anix Shrine, where it had really cool Scottish music, and there was a very cool dragon at the top, which it seems like you could fight him, but I decided not to. And I saw there was like some sort of like Moogle-looking city, and I really wanted to get there, but I was not able to get there. There was another temple, the natural barriers, and just the expansion being linear and not letting you go certain places until you progress the story. But I even climbed up like this cool-looking mountain that kind of reminded me of Paradomator from 11, except much easier to climb. But yeah, speaking of not letting to eat meat because vegetarianism, so did a couple quests around Falcon's Nest, taking out some ice spirit baddies, and then went and did a filler quest that involved me killing some monsters called Deep Eyes because the guy needed, I think, like wool or something from the Deep Eyes in order to like polish a statue. And I'm not a fan of the kill some monsters so I can get these supplies quests in games, mainly because, you know, vegetarian, peaceful guy. I'm the kind of guy who will try to avoid killing bugs if I can. Like if I see a spider in the house, I'll capture the spider and then take it outside. That's just not my bag. So not really into those kind of quests, which are pretty standard in the RPG genre. And I do get it, like, being a hunter and gatherer is like in human genes. Like we've done that for centuries. And so I do get the idea of, hey, we do need these items from these animals. So like you got to go get them. Like I get that. It's just I'm not a fan of doing that in RPGs. I feel like there's enough really good quality storytelling and those kind of quests just kind of bog it down for me. But after that quest, there was a cute short quest where the guy who was working on cleaning the statue, Thearmont, he thought that this female knight, Usoador, ended up dropping a package by mistake, and he's like, hey, can you go return this to her? But it turns out Usoador left it there on purpose because he was trying to give him food because he thinks that Thearmont works too hard. And so it's implied that like they kind of like have a crush on each other. But Usador's like, I can't just give it directly to him because she's a highborn knight and he's a lowborn mason, so there's that class distinction. Which again, Final Fantasy XIV dived into class politics. And I hope that I see more of those two characters, and I hope they get together, because, I don't know, it's clear they like each other, so they should ignore their class boundaries and just accept each other's love. That'd be nice. But after that, Leto ends up going hunting some more of Iceheart's heretics and follows them to their hideout. And after taking out a bunch of heretics, Iceheart gives a big old speech about wanting peace, but then manages to escape. And then after that, Arturol has a heart-to-heart with Leto where he admits that he didn't believe Orshafant's boasting about Leto's achievements and had basically some ego issues and kind of wanted Leto to fail. But seeing Leto in action and his heroics made him really respect Leto and realize that the issue was with him and his own self-esteem, and that he was the one who needed to mature. And so he basically said, hey, you know, I'm going to own up to me being jealous of you, and I have respect for you, and I think you're really cool. Which was really nice to see. That was, it was a nice little bit of personal growth in a short amount of time for a character, and it was nice to see his evolution that quickly, but it felt sincere. It felt well written, and it was definitely endearing. It also helped explain something that I had a bit of a question about, because Orshafan is hanging out in Camp Dragonhead, which is not a luxurious place to hang out at all. And him having charge over that fort doesn't feel like something that someone of a noble high house, like it doesn't feel like a position a person in a high house would necessarily want. It feels like a lot of work and not a lot of glamour, especially given how wealthy his house is. And through that quest, we find out that Orshafan is a half-brother of Arturul and Amanelaine. And so I guess he is the half-brother bastard son. And so it's, the Jon Snow thing. Oh, the mom doesn't love him and, really hates that the dad has the bastard son. So it's that standard plot point, but it is nice that it explains why he was in Camp Dragonhead. So that was nice that I got that clarification there. And yeah, so that is basically all that I did in 14 this week was, again, just those few quests, getting acclimated of Heavensward, getting a feel for it. Most of my playtime in 14 this week was actually just exploring the different maps and just vibing out. And it was a lot of fun just soaking in the world, exploring, seeing what I could find, seeing what I could do. And then checking the wiki later and seeing, oh, I did basically everything I'm able to do at this point in terms of exploration. But it was definitely a good first impression for Heavensward, and I'm definitely loving it so far. I'm having a great, great time. And I'm looking forward to continuing my journey through Heavensward. So I've got a little bonus section at the end of the video, but before I get into the bonus section, I want to say thanks for watching. And if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. If you have a friend you play 14 with, just share this video series with them, because I'm doing vlogs about 14 every week, sharing my journey going through the game as a first-time player. So if you want to see what I think about different parts of 14, hey, I've got new videos coming out every week. So as a little bonus addendum, these videos have often talked about just my gaming experiences each week, and 14 is my main game, the game that I'm focusing on right now. But over the course of the last year, I ended up playing this game called Another Eden, which is a massive live service game made by Masato Kato of Chrono Trigger fame. And what I do, if there's a new Another Eden story update, I'll end up playing that when it comes out, just because I'm caught up on the game. So if there's a new update, I'll play it, and it's usually just like 1 day of playtime. Basically, Another Eden is a single-player RPG that plays like a SNES RPG, but it does have gacha mechanics, but they're very generous gacha mechanics. And there was a character that you could draw in the gacha pools named Raven that had a new quest come out last week, and I ended up playing through it, and it was really cool. Basically, spoilers for Another Eden and Chrono Trigger, Raven is basically Magus from Chrono Trigger in the world of Another Eden. At the end of Chrono Trigger DS, Magus gets transported to another world and loses his memory, and it turns out that world is the world of Another Eden, and Raven, the character, ends up making this deal with this cursed mask to get additional powers, but through doing that, he ends up losing his identity and memories. And so the quest is about him recovering part of his identity and gaining even new powers over the mask, and confirming that Raven is Magus. And so for longtime Chrono Trigger fans, it's really cool to see that. Basically, the way that Another Eden works is a lot of the characters in Another Eden are legally distinct versions of Chrono Trigger characters, where they will heavily imply that they're characters from Chrono Trigger, but won't completely say it. So just for legal purposes. But this quest basically confirms that, like, Raven is Magus, and there's a character named Ashtir in Another Eden who is definitely just Luca from Chrono Trigger. And there's a character named Cyrus who is a talking frog samurai, not a talking frog knight. He is not the same character from Chrono Trigger. He is neither Cyrus nor Glenn. He's more of a reference, but Magus, aka Raven, and Ashtir, aka Luca, are basically confirmed to be the characters from Chrono Trigger. So it's really cool seeing that Magus got, some new story after all these years. So if you're a big Chrono Trigger fan, I've got the full video of that quest uploaded on the channel. It'll be linked in the description. It's a cool time. And in addition to that quest, they added a new quest line called Miracle Manor, which is basically Another Eden's foray into the point-and-click mystery genre. Another Eden will often experiment with different genres of RPGs. Like, there's an expansion in Another Eden that's just a town-building sim. There's one expansion that has tactical battles similar to like Fire Emblem. Like they'll do a lot of experimentation with different genres, and Miracle Manor is them doing point and click mysteries, and it was pretty good. The music was really good. There were some good brain teasers. It was pretty long. It was like 6 hours, so it was a pretty lengthy quest line, but it was really pleasant. And so in a lot of these vlogs, I've stuck the Another Eden segments at the front of the video and said, hey, I played some Another Eden this week and here's what happened. But I figured since you're here for 14, I would try sticking the Another Eden segment at the end of the video this time. So let me know if you prefer that. But yeah, that's my vlog for this week. Just very light 14 playing, soaking in the atmosphere of Heavensward, and looking forward to continuing the journey next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.